There's a moment so small you almost never notice it, where your future is already chosen. It happens before you speak, before you act, before you even believe you've made a decision. And yet, in that fraction of a second, the quantum field has already locked onto the timeline you're about to live. Neuroscientists like Benjamin Lute discovered this in groundbreaking experiments. When people were asked to make a simple choice, press a button with the left hand or the right, their brain's readiness potential fired. Milliseconds before they consciously decided. In other words, your body and subconscious had already committed to an action before your conscious mind caught up. Now, imagine what that means in the quantum realm. If your brain fires early for something as small as pressing a button, what about the big life-changing decisions? What about the moment you meet someone who will transform your life, or the instant you choose a path that will alter your destiny? Mystics have long said, the choice is me. The heart before the mind understands. Quantum theory takes this further, suggesting that all possible futures exist simultaneously in superposition, and your energy state preselects one before you even register the decision. This is not about fate, and it's not about losing free will. It's about understanding that your conscious self is only one layer of a much larger decision-making system. One that includes your subconscious programming, your vibrational frequency, and your entanglement with the quantum field. Most people go through life completely unaware of this preselection moment. They only wake up to a decision after it's been made, and by then they're already on the moving train of that chosen timeline. The problem: if your subconscious is full of old fears, limiting beliefs, and unresolved patterns, it will keep preselecting timelines that match those frequencies. You'll keep reliving the same loops, the same disappointments, thinking, why does this always happen to me? Without realizing you're simply matching the vibration you've carried for years. But here's the shift. The moment you become aware of this fraction of a second, this sliver of consciousness where the field is still fluid, you can learn to intercept it, to pause just long enough to redirect your energy toward a higher frequency choice. In physics, this is like observing a particle before it collapses, nudging it toward a desired outcome. In spirituality, it's what sages describe as moving from reaction to creation. It's the same principle. Awareness slows the autopilot, giving you access to the controls. Think of it like a wave about to break on the shore. Once the wave crashes, you can't change its direction, but in the moments before, with the right positioning, you can ride it exactly where you want to go. The preselection moment is your chance to position yourself. You won't always see it clearly at first. In fact, it will feel almost invisible. But with training, you'll start to notice the subtle signs: a shift in your body's tension, a fleeting image in your mind, a tiny inner yes or no that appears before thought. That's the door. And once you know it's there, you can step through it instead of letting it close without you. In this video, we're going to decode that process, not just from a mystical perspective, but grounded in both neuroscience and quantum physics. We'll explore why your brain's predictive coding tries to lock in familiar realities, how the quantum field responds to your first energetic impulse, and how to train yourself to become the conscious selector of your own timelines. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly how to catch that split-second window and use it to align with the future you actually want to live. When Leibovitz research shook the neuroscience community in the 1980s, it didn't just challenge the idea of free will. It exposed something much deeper about how reality unfolds. His experiments showed that the brain's motor cortex initiates action before conscious awareness by a margin of up to 500 milliseconds. That might sound like a tiny gap, but in the quantum world, it's an eternity. This is because the quantum field responds instantly to energetic alignment, and your first subconscious alignment happens before your logical mind can weigh pros and cons. This means that, in a way, reality begins responding to you before you officially decide. Now, let's connect this to quantum manifestation. The field is not listening to your well-rehearsed affirmations or your carefully crafted vision boards as much as it's responding to your state. That deep, instantaneous vibration that flares up before you consciously choose a thought. This is why so many people struggle with manifestation despite doing everything right on paper. They're trying to override a preselection impulse with conscious effort, but the energy was already broadcast milliseconds earlier. Dr. Joe Dispenza often describes this as the recording of the past playing on loop. Your subconscious is essentially a predictive engine drawing from memory and past emotional experiences to decide what's safe and possible. And it makes those decisions faster than you can reason. In physics, you could compare this to decoherence. The moment a wave function collapses into a fixed outcome, the infinite possibilities narrow down to just one. Once that happens, your conscious mind tends to rationalize the choice, believing it was fully in control when in fact it was mostly narrating after the fact. But here's where it gets interesting. Quantum mechanics doesn't demand that you stay in the first outcome your subconscious picks. There is still a window, a subtle, delicate one, where conscious observation can nudge the collapse toward a different result. This is why mindfulness, somatic awareness, and presence are not just spiritual fluff. They're tools for catching yourself in that pre-collapse moment. The more attuned you are to your body's signals, the flicker of a heartbeat, the sudden clench of your stomach, the micro-expression of excitement, the more you can intercept an old program and choose something new. And this is where quantum manifestation flips the common approach upside down. Instead of setting a goal and pushing toward it for months or years, you learn to recognize the micro-moments where your future is being chosen and redirect them in real time. Imagine it like a GPS recalculating mid-route. You don't need to tear up the whole journey, you just need to catch the wrong turn before it locks you in. This is also why ignoring these micro-moments keeps you stuck. Every time you miss them, you reinforce the same neural pathways and energetic imprints, making it more likely you'll default to them again. The subconscious loves familiarity. It prefers a known discomfort over an unknown potential. But the quantum field has no such bias. It's neutral. It will mirror back whatever you broadcast, whether it's an empowered impulse or a habitual one. The shift starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. In the next section, we're going to break down exactly how to spot these pre-selection cues and, more importantly, how to ride them into the reality you want instead of the one you've been unconsciously repeating. And when you master this, manifestation stops feeling like an uphill climb and starts feeling like surfing a wave that's already moving in your favor. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle known as the observer effect. The idea that the act of observation changes the behavior of particles, but what most people don't realize is that the first observation isn't always conscious. Before your thinking mind decides to focus on a possibility, your subconscious is already observing, already collapsing certain wave functions into form. This means your choice is often a confirmation of what your deeper energy has already set in motion. Neuroscience has a parallel to this in what's called predictive coding. Your brain is not passively recording reality, it is actively predicting it moment by moment based on stored memories and emotional patterns. These predictions are essentially your internal future previews. They are the brain's way of saying, I know what's coming next. And in the process, it starts subtly steering you toward that expectation. Now, here's the kicker. Those predictions are energetic broadcasts to the quantum field. Even before you say, I want this or I don't want that, the field is already receiving your frequency and matching it with a compatible reality. Think of it like this. If your subconscious expects rejection, it broadcasts rejection. If it expects abundance, it broadcasts abundance. The quantum field doesn't care whether the expectation was deliberate or accidental. It simply mirrors it. This is why manifestation often feels so elusive for people. They set conscious intentions that are in direct conflict with the subconscious preselection happening milliseconds. Earlier, in the lab, Benjamin Libet's famous experiments measured this gap between unconscious brain activity and conscious decision, and the evidence was undeniable. Our bodies know before we know. Physicist John Wheeler once said, we are participators in bringing into being not only the near and here, but the far away and long ago. This doesn't just apply on a cosmic scale. It applies to the micro-moments in your own life. Each preselection moment is like a fork in the road, except the fork appears and vanishes in less than a second. If you're not tuned in, you'll miss it entirely. From a spiritual perspective, these micro-moments are when your higher self whispers. It's the instant where intuition speaks before logic takes over. But most people are so used to living in mental noise that they override the whisper with old stories. It can't be that easy. I've always struggled with this. I need to figure out